Hi everybody, it's Brittany again. I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that has to do with prevention of problem behaviors, and that is non-contingent reinforcement. So we'll go ahead and I'll try to make this one a little quicker today. So non-contingent reinforcement. What is it? See if we can get my slides to work today. So first off, let's start with contingent versus non-contingent. So what does that mean? So contingent is dependent. It means you have to do something in order to receive something. So I put on here an example is if you eat your vegetables, you can get some ice cream. Non-contingent would be free of charge, essentially. So you just get it just because. So, no particular reason, but let's go get some ice cream. So that would be the difference between the two, contingent and non-contingent. So the professional definition, so it's going to be one of those crazy definitions again, guys. So it's an antecedent intervention in which the stimuli with known reinforcing properties are delivered on a fixed time or variable time schedule, independent of the learner's behavior. So to simplify that, it's a prevention program and where we give reinforcement to the child, to the learner. So that's something like praise, a break, or even items without requiring them to behave a certain way. Again, this is different from contingent reinforcement because contingent, you require the child to complete the behavior prior to reinforcing it. So if we say are doing something like homework, you can get a break after you finish all your homework. So it is contingent upon completing all that homework. And sorry if my face is a little in shadow today, guys. My hair is just not having a good day, so it's a ball cap kind of day. So to continue on, so as we've talked about before, there's positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and automatic reinforcement. And you can use non-contingent reinforcement with all three of these things. Isn't that fun? So using non-contingent reinforcement, or as you see, I've abbreviated it to NCR, which I'll do that for the rest of the slides, is something we're giving the child something. We're adding something into that environment to increase the behavior we want to see. So what it would be like we would be giving the child attention free of charge whenever just randomly. And this would also act as a way of decreasing problem behavior that is associated with seeking attention. So if you're giving your child attention every time you see them doing something you really like they're on the floor and you just happen to walk by, oh, I love how you're playing so quietly, and you do that all the time, the hope is that, and how my professor at Penn State put it, Dr. Lee, he says we're filling up their tank. So the goal is to fill up that attention tank with this non-contingent attention, and we're just filling it up so that way when you're on the phone, they're not yanking on you, mommy, 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 mommy. So they're trying to seek your attention for that. So it's kind of, in a way, we're trying to, like I said, fill up their tank so they get attention for appropriate behavior. And then we're hoping that will cause us not to have, or to see that attention-seeking behavior during inappropriate times or in an inappropriate way. So non-contingent reinforcement with negative reinforcement. So in this case, we're taking something away. So again, if just to remember, positive is plus, negative is minus. It's literally just math. Don't think of it as good and bad. I know that can get very confusing because sometimes I have to stop and think about it. I think everybody has to get their brain wrapped around it before they stop thinking positive, good, negative, bad. You want to clear that out. Pretend like you're in Algebra 1 again, positive, or science, positive plus, negative minus. So get me back on to where I was talking about. So you're going to be with non-contingent reinforcement with negative reinforcement. We're going to be taking something away. So this would be, we're taking away the demand. We're taking away the task that the child doesn't want to do, or something that they don't like. So that would be, and it would be taken away for a little while. So it's like giving them a break, randomly giving them a break, regardless of their behavior. So I have an example on here that says Sam doesn't like to sit and do her homework, and she cries and tries to get out of it. So mom, what she's decided to do is every 5 minutes, she gives Sam a 5-minute break. Doesn't matter how much of her homework she's got done, but she's getting every 5 minutes, she's getting that 5-minute break in the hopes that she'll be able to sit and do that homework and, be tired of running off. Let's see. Now this next one, non-contingent reinforcement with automatic reinforcement. This one, for me, I had a little bit of difficulty wrapping my brain around it because I was like, well, how do you reinforce something that you do automatically whenever? I always chew my fingernails, but that's actually not what they're talking about. So the non-contingent reinforcement with automatic reinforcement is we're trying to prevent the inappropriate automatic reinforcing behavior. So that's going to be something that's usually sensory. So sometimes people chew their nails because they just like to do it. Some people drum their fingers, tap their foot. Kids rock. A lot of kids like to wave their fingers in front of their eyes or on the sides. So the hope is we can give them something that meets that sensory need, non-contingently enough that they won't need to, as some people call it, stemming. They won't need to stem. They won't need to flick their fingers in front of their eyes or rock. So something like that would be like giving them a highly desired item or that meets that sensory need throughout the day so we can decrease that inappropriate sensory behavior. So I put on here, Billy likes to wiggle his fingers in front of his eyes because he just likes to see the lights flickering. So if you can't tell, but I've got this really bright light right here. So I wave my fingers and it changes the way the light comes into my eyes. And I just really like that. That is so fun. And instead, we give Billy one of his favorite toys, which is, I don't know if you've seen them, there's these really cool spinny toys that have lights and they flash. And he gets this every once in a while. And he can play with it for a while, and the hope is that if he plays with this light that flashes and gets that sensory input that will fill that tank up, like we talked about before, to where he doesn't need to flick his fingers in front of his eyes. So, and then how can you use non-contingent reinforcement? So I put a step system because before you implement this, you should know there's a few things to do. Step 1, I put on here, you have to know the purpose of the behavior. If you're just randomly giving attention to a behavior that's not for attention, it's not going to get any better. If you're giving a break when the child actually just are, you're sending them to the room to, for a break, but they actually wanted your attention, it's not going to improve that behavior either. So first of all, you always, like I said, have to know the purpose or the function of the behavior. So ways you can do this is you can do what's called an ABC data sheet. This is the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequence. Now, the best way to do this, and I didn't include this on my links this time, but I will add it to the comments at the bottom, is, let me write that down, ABC data. So what you would do is antecedent is something that happens before. Then the behavior is what the behavior is, and then the consequence is what immediately follows the behavior. So an example would be, I'm actually currently reading a book called The Verbal Behavior Approach, which I strongly suggest to any parent who is looking at ABA and trying to figure out ways to improve their child's communication. It is a very simple read. It's not complex, and I'm really enjoying it. So I highly recommend that one, and I will also put that on the list as well. So what she says in there as an example was, she introduces, oh, hi, Matthew, how are you today? That's the antecedent. The behavior is Matthew saying hi back. Hi, I'm okay. And the consequence of him saying hi, I'm okay, is the other person saying, oh, that's great to hear. So we actually are using ABC all day long. I mean, you may not even realize it, but it's just literally what happens before the behavior, the actual behavior, and what happens immediately following the behavior. Consequence does not necessarily mean something bad, like, oh, because he did, or the behavior was, he did something inappropriate, so I swatted him on the butt. That technically is a consequence, but you don't necessarily have to use that as a consequence. Anything that happens after a behavior occurs is a consequence. So again, you can use that ABC data form. So how you would find out the function with the ABC data form is, what I like to do is I always start by writing the behavior, and this is just my personal preference. Everybody can do it the way that they want. So what I'll actually do is I'll A, B, and C. Okay, so we know the A is before, it's the antecedent, B is the behavior, and C is the consequence. So what I personally like to do is I write the behavior first. Now, you can do this the way you'd like to do it, but I just recommend writing the behavior first, because you can go through and like, okay, I know this particular behavior is what I'm looking for. So let's say, we'll use my son's name because, everybody knows that my son's name is Brendan by now. So Brendan hits the dog. That is the behavior. So now that I have my behavior written down, so he hit the dog, what I would do is go back and say, okay, what happened before that? Oh, okay, so the dog stole his chicken nugget. So that was the antecedent. So Brendan hit the dog after the dog took his chicken nugget. Now, what was the consequence of that? Well, after Brendan hit the dog growled. And Brendan cried. We'll just say that. So that would be your ABC. He hit the dog, or the dog stole his chicken nugget. He hit the dog, so the dog growled at him, and then Brendan cried. So that would be my ABC data for that particular item. So the function of, you would try to determine the function of that. Well, the function of this for me would be a tangible, which means an item, something he wanted. So because the dog stole a chicken nugget, that's why he behaved that way. So once you figure out the purpose, then you can move on to setting up a time schedule for your non-contingent reinforcement. Non-contingent reinforcement is, you want to just you can do it either at a fixed time, like we showed with the example with Sam receiving 5-minute break every 5 minutes, or you can do at a variable schedule, which kind of works. It's kind of like it's random. So you just let's say, this particular behavior happens at a certain amount of time. So every 15 minutes. So you kind of randomly set it up. So you're going to randomly give them attention at minute 2. Then you reset your timer, and then minute 5, then minute 9, and then minute 4, and it's just back and forth. This is not a set time. It's just kind of a random. So once you've set up your schedule for reinforcement, then you want to make sure that you have that. If it's a tangible item or it's attention, make sure you have that readily available. Or the break. I mean, it's an appropriate time to give them a break. Maybe you're in a place where you can't always give the child a break. Like I'm trying to think of, like at a restaurant, you can't just walk away from your table every 5 minutes. But you could use you could use a break at home. Like, okay, you've done so great. Let's go ahead and go take a break. Or just, hey, let's go do this. You don't need to do that anymore. Just giving them that break. And then the next thing you want to do, step 4, is just give it a shot. Implement your plan. So let's say your plan for the day, and we're going to go back to Brendan. So, because, I pull from my own life. So my plan is, Brendan, we decided after doing an ABC data analysis, I've done it for about 5-6 times for the same behavior, which is him saying, mommy, 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 mommy. So I've determined this is for attention. And he only does it when mommy's doing school. So I know the time and I know the function. So what I'm going to do is, my plan is to every once in a while randomly, even when I'm doing school, take a break for myself, because mamas need breaks too, guys. So, so I'm going to take a break from my school, or whatever I'm doing. So I'm going to say mama break. And then I'm going to say, okay, and I'm going to go off of, a fixed ratio, just because, it's kind of hard for me to randomly do it, because I'll get caught up in school. But if I have a timer set on my watch, I can stop and give Brendan attention. So I'm going to give him every 10 minutes. I'm going to go up and see what he's doing, give him some cuddles. I'm going to praise him. And I'm going to, just see what he's doing. If he wants to play for a few minutes, we'll play. So, and then I would go back to what I was doing and reset my timer. So, that would be my plan. So, the attention, we know that that's the function. So, what I would do is, Mama, take a break. I'm not sure what just happened, y'all. Sorry. So, we would take a break. And then I would give him attention for 10 minutes, or when that 10-minute timer went off, play with him, and we'll say that's about 5 minutes. We'll play with him, cuddle, kisses, do what he wants to do, and then I'll get back to doing what I need to do. And then when the 10-minute timer goes off again, I'm up and I'm moving around. So, and after that point, we would move on to step 5. You want to take data. So even before you start implementing, I want you guys to take baseline data. So if you have a child who is seeking attention all the time by doing inappropriate behaviors, what I want you to do is, you don't have to have a clicker, because I know not everybody has them, but you can get them like at Office Depot or even on Amazon if you really, really want a little clicker thingy, to count how many times your child engages in that behavior. And then I would do that for 3 to 5 days, so you have the frequency written out. And then what I would want you to do, so I'm going to show you my little, and guys, I'm sorry, this is all just me hand drawing stuff. So let's say this is 0 to 20. And when you do a graph, just make sure you do all the numbers. I'm just writing 0 to 20 for now. And then down at the bottom is going to be how many days we did. So day 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we say we did this for 9 days, or 9 trials, 9 times, however you want to do it. So let's say I take my baseline data, and Brendan engages in his attention-seeking behavior the first day 18 times, the second day 20 times, and the third day we'll go with like 15. So I would graph my data points. Boom. See? Do. And then, you know what? Let's just add one more, just because I don't like the trend. Because it looks confusing. And then we'll go say he goes back up to 20. Boop. So we graphed for 4 days. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what you'll do is, that's your baseline data. Once you've got your baseline data taken, I want you to draw a line down the side. This is going to be your phase line. A phase line is when you start your intervention. So once you start that intervention, I want you to also, if you're using that clicker, get back out there and do the clicker again, and start timing so this is when we start our non-contingent reinforcement, and then start tracking that behavior. So let's say day 5, we're down to 15, then 12, 9, and then maybe one day we've got a little peak. So, and this would be something like what my data is. See, nice downward trend. So that would show me that if I'm looking at it, for me, what does this say? This says to me that, wow, before we started non-contingent reinforcement, man, was he engaging in that problem behavior. Once we started the non-contingent reinforcement, that behavior went down. I mean, we had a little peak here, but it continued in a downward phase. So it's better. So we know that that's working. Now, let's say if you didn't have this graph, or you had this graph and you're still doing your baseline, but you noticed that instead of the first line that I showed you guys, it was more like that right here. This is a good indication that what we're doing isn't working. So if you guys are at home and you tried non-contingent reinforcement and you guys are noticing that there's not any change or it's getting worse, then maybe we should talk to somebody, or first of all, stop what you're doing. Stop the intervention because it's not working. And then we'll talk to somebody. I would recommend talking, if you're already an ABA, talk to your BCBA. Ask them what you should be doing, because non-contingent reinforcement for this particular behavior wasn't working. Or maybe you were reinforcing the wrong function. So you may have to go back and start back from step 1 and find out what that function was. So, and you're going to hear this from a lot of people. I mean, everybody in the ABA field is going to say data, data, data. That's why I have it right here, big and bold. Take data. Because I want to be able to look at something and say, oh man, that's working. And a lot of people, I can't say most people. But when I've talked to other professionals in this area, they say that no matter how great your intervention is, if I don't have data, it never happened. So take your data, guys. This is so, so important. It doesn't have to be beautiful. And again, if you guys want to learn how to do something like this, hit me up on the comments, and I will do whatever I can. I will show you how to use the Excel stuff. I actually prefer PowerPoint. And if you guys don't like to do the electronic stuff, I'll show you how to graph on pen and paper. Just let me know. And once you do have that data, share it. Share it with your BCBA, your RBT, your teacher. Guys, it is so important to share all this information, not just with the people at ABA, but if your child's going to school and they're having the same problems at school, and this is working, let the teacher know, because then she can implement the same plan, and that might change the behavior at school. So why should I use non-contingent reinforcement? Well, first of all, it is a prevention intervention. So you want to prevent the behavior from the inappropriate behavior from happening. So by implementing what is called an antecedent intervention, the hope is we will prevent the challenging behavior from occurring. And another reason is they're really easy to set up in advance. I mean, how easy is it to just go up to your child when they're sitting on the floor playing their tablet? I love how quietly you're sitting. It is so easy, and it's something that, guys, I don't do it enough. So I can't be out here preaching and saying, please, please make sure you tell your child to be behaved, and tell them that how great they're doing when they are when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because I don't always remember to do it either. But if you just see your child sitting on the floor and they're doing what they're supposed to do, give them a pat on the back or a hug or a cuddle or something, like, great job. I love when you sit quietly, or I love when you play your dinosaurs like that. I love how you're sharing. I love this. You can change up your words too. I know I used love like 10 times, but change it up. Wow, that's amazing. Right on, dude. Give me a high five. Mix it up. Make it fun. Be excited when you praise them. Don't be like, oh, you did so good. Because I'm not excited about that. I'm like, okay, whatever. Just be excited. The next thing too is, like we've been talking about before, is to help to satiate that need. By satiate, I mean you're kind of full of it. You don't need it anymore because, as I've talked about before, you filled up that tank. So I've got all the attention I need. I'm good to go the rest of the day. That is the hope. And guys, it can be super fun to do this. I mean, I have fun just talking about it, but then again, I might be a little of an ABA nerd. Sorry. But have fun with it. Play. It gives you an excuse to get down on the floor and play with your kids again. Because I know I am one of those moms that's on the computer for hours. I'm on my phone if I'm not on my computer, or we're watching the television. So if I'm implementing a non-contingent reinforcement program, then I am engaging one-on-one with my child. I'm playing with them. We're having fun. And it gets me away from this stupid technology that burns my brain up. And your child will love it. So just try it. That's all I can say. And if it doesn't work, you know what? Most of the time, that's going to happen. We're going to come across an intervention program that didn't work. I can't tell you how many different programs I've gone through with my son's therapist just to get him to go to the bathroom somewhere else. And we still aren't successful. So you guys are going to have hits and you're going to have misses. And that is the cool thing about science. So you learn from those mistakes. And again, just because I know I say this a lot, but just because it works for me doesn't mean it will work for you. But, give it a shot. Maybe it will work for you. So I also included a couple of my helpful links. Not too many this time. This link here is a YouTube about, I include them a lot. They do the jargon of the day, and this just covers non-contingent reinforcement. And this one down here is just a real short clip of what non-contingent positive reinforcement looks like. So if you guys have time, check out my links. If not, it's okay. You can rewatch my video about 1 billion times. I don't mind. But as always, here is my reference. The Cooper et al. Book, my favorite ABA book currently. So this is where I get most of my information for my slides. And guys, other than that, just to wrap up, again, as always, please like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment, ask me questions, give me suggestions, feed me information. I love to hear from you guys. Also, share this video if you really like it. And if you're watching it on YouTube, make sure you guys subscribe. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming out and watching my videos. I know some of you have watched every single one of my videos, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I'm going to continue to do these even after I graduate and hopefully after I pass my board certification in February. Guys, keep your fingers crossed for me. I know it's a long way off, but it doesn't feel that long. But again, thank you. Subscribe, share, and I will see you guys probably in 2 weeks. Bye!